Good evening and welcome to the July 15th meeting of the Arcata City Council. We did meet earlier in a closed session, but there is nothing to report out at this time. So for those people that are wanting to participate in the meeting this evening, either for an individual agenda item or during the first or second oral and written communications period, there are 3 ways to do so. If you are here in person, please line up behind the podium when the item you would like to speak on is accepting public comment. If you are logged on to Zoom, click raise your hand when it is time for public comment on the item that you wish to speak on. If you are on the phone, press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. When it is your turn, you will be prompted to dial *6 on your phone. For these items, we will be taking in-person public comment first and then moving to online comments. We won't be going back and forth, so if you are wanting to comment in person, line up when it's time, or if you're electronically participating, raise that hand when it's time also, so we get to see that you want to speak. Next, we will have our land acknowledgement. The City of Arcata acknowledges that the lands we are located on are the unceded ancestral lands of the Wiyot tribe. The land that Arcata rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments remove the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threaten to destroy their cultural practices. The City of Arcata acknowledges the Wiyot community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement seeks to aid in dismantling the legacy narratives of settler colonialism. So if you would like to, you may join us in the flag salute. Thank you. We do not have any ceremonial matters this evening. Oh, let's see, make sure that we are all here. So, Council Member Stillman? Oh, she'll do it for me. Okay. Go ahead, Ria.
Okay. Vice Mayor Atkins Salazar,
I am here.
Councilmember Matthews,
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Here.
Councilmember Stillman.
Present.
Mayor White is absent, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you. So do we have any reports by commission or committee? I don't think we do. All right, so staff reports. All staff reports shall be specifically limited to city business and shall not request or lead to action by the council at this meeting. So item A is to receive a presentation from Arcata Fire District staff and consultants regarding the district's development impact fee study.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. Thanks for letting us have some time tonight to present to you about our development impact fee project we've been working on. Our consultant, Blair Oz, should be there in person. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be there tonight. So as you guys know, we are an independent special district and we have very few funding mechanisms that fund our district. With that, there are a few mechanisms such as development impact fees that would allow us to bring in funding on new development. As part of that process, we have to conduct what's called a nexus study. That goes well beyond my expertise as far as what the methodology is, but that's why I'm going to introduce Blair to come up and provide a short presentation, and we'll both be available to answer any questions if anything should come up, and then give a little bit of little more information on what the development impact fee is for and how it will help us. So at this point, I'd love to turn it over to Blair if I could.
Sure, thank you, Chief Emmons.
Thank you, Chief, and good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. Again, my name is Blair Oz. I'm with SCI Consulting Group. I'm a vice president and a 24-year impact fee practitioner, and I've been retained by the district to prepare this fee program for you and for them and present it to you in the county, hopefully for adoption. So the presentation that I have this evening is just an overview of the fee program. So we'll talk about that. We can drill down a little bit on some of the important aspects that you should be familiar with, but then specifically just answering the question that you probably have: why are you here? What is our role as the city? Would you like to introduce yourself before I start?
My name is Annalie. I'm the business manager for Arcata Fire District.
And I'm Ross McDonald, Assistant Chief with Arcata Fire.
Wonderful. There we go. So first I'll start with just an overview of development impact fees. So development impact fees are one-time fees that are paid by new development to fund the construction of new infrastructure. So essentially, it's quite important that a growing community, the question usually arises of if we're growing, we need to also grow the infrastructure of the community. So as we grow, we're going to need more roads and schools and fire stations and parks. And so the question is, as you grow, who should be responsible for that growth? And so these fees are very common across the state, and really the premise behind them is that growth should pay its own way, and that the other funding that the district receives often is just not enough to be able to meet that level that level of costs that are needed to expand the fire system. So one of the things that's required for this type of a fee is a nexus study, which is what we've prepared, and I think it's in your packet. Then the nexus study is a document that establishes the legal and the policy basis behind the imposition of the fee, and so there's the Mitigation Fee Act and other case law that says that you can't just arbitrarily come up with this fee. There's got to be a very close relationship between the impact of new development on the fire system and the resulting fee, and it's got to be in proportion to the impact that's caused by different types of land uses as well. And so it also has rules about how you account for the fee, how you report on the fee, how you collect it, the transparency requirements, how it's supposed to be adopted, and such. But the reason that we're here tonight is because the fire district as a special district does not have the land use authority to impose these fees on their behalf. They have, of course, as you know, taxing authority, so they can go out with a special tax measure or an assessment measure. They have that authority, but the land use authority is reserved for the city and the county. So this fee program has been presented before the district board, and the district board has approved it, and I think you received a resolution requesting that you consider it and hopefully adopt it on their behalf. So the methodology and approach, so first of all, a fee program by its nature is designed to recover some type of costs. So in this case, the costs are pretty much their fire system. So land, fire stations, and any other types of buildings, apparatus and vehicles, equipment, and then of course any cost associated with collection and administration of the fee program year after year. So those are the fee components. the methodology is the common methodology. This isn't anything unique. It's actually the common way to come up with fire impact fees, specific for fire impact fees. And it's called an existing facility standard methodology. And as I had indicated earlier in my overview of the fee program, that the purpose behind the fees is to provide funding to expand the fire system to serve the growing service population of the district. Well, that's the methodology, is that you look at the existing system and the service population that it serves, and you come up with a ratio of that's what's called the existing level of service. That's what's being provided today. And then in order to maintain the service level that they have today, that determines the fee that would be charged on new residential development. And so it's that it establishes a ratio, and it's a complicated ratio, and I'm happy to get into the weeds on that, but it's essentially the value of the fire system and the service population coming up with a ratio, and that service as an existing facility standard methodology.
Well said. Makes sense to me.
So we can just get right to it. So the fee program comes up with, based upon all of the elements to determine the fee, it comes up with a maximum fire impact fee. And so under the law, the district can only request, the city and the county can only approve fees no more than this level for these particular fee categories. So you'll first see that there are a number of land use categories. So often the question is, well, why isn't it just one fee for all development? Well, that's because one of the nexus requirements is that the fee is imposed in proportion to the varying demands that are created by different types of residential development. So, for example, an office on a square footage basis, an office is going to have more employees to protect than a warehouse, or as such. So that's why you have the varying fee rates here. And so there are three categories for residential: single family, multifamily, mobile home, and then accessory dwelling units are a little bit different, and that's actually a law from a few years ago that actually expressed that all development impact fee programs, if that accessory dwelling unit, that new accessory dwelling unit, is less than 750 square feet, it is exempt from these fees. Anything larger than that, it would be in proportion to the single family home on which the accessory dwelling unit is being placed. And the reason for that was that there was an effort that accessory dwelling units were looked at as affordable housing, and they wanted to try to encourage that type of development. And so I think that's generally the premise about why they have exempted that. And so you'll see those categories, and then there's 5 categories for non-residential development. And you'll also note that these fees are rates, they're fee rates. So they're expressed on a building square footage basis. And that is purposeful because the district is protecting homes and structures. So the larger the home, the larger the structure, it's reasonable that they pay a fee in proportion to that. So you'll see, and then so that last category is the maximum fee category for each land use category. I will note, I get this quite often. As you'll see the rates, that the rate for multifamily, an apartment unit, is more than a single family home, and often that at first glance doesn't look fair and reasonable. But yet you want to remember that the fee is actually a rate. So when it's expressed as on an average unit, you can see on the right-hand side that then it becomes a little bit more reasonable, $1,300 versus $900 a unit. So those are the averages, just to give you a sense. So those are the resulting fees. Just a little bit more about the fee program. So the fee is charged at the time of building permit issuance. And so, and I think there's still some details to work out with the city and the county on how to collect and administer the fee program. And those are things that we can work out. But generally, it's collected by the city building department, the county building department, and it's put in a separate fund and then remitted to the district on a quarterly basis or something like that. But those details can be worked out between both parties. And then the important thing with the accounting is that those fees and any interest earned have to be contained within one fund. So the city would have sort of a holding fund, and all interest would go into that fund, and then that would the district would have the same. And again, and the fees again must be expended solely for the purpose by which they are collected, and we'll get into that a little bit here. So there are some reporting requirements for this type of a fee. One is an annual report, which is essentially a 1.5-page document at the most that just says over the last fiscal year, there was a beginning balance, the ending balance of the fund. This is how much was collected. This is how much was expended, and what did you expend it upon, and a couple of other little questions. But that's about it. But it's just a document for transparency about what's happening with the fund year after year. After 5 years, there's a little bit more involved report where the district has to report how they intend on using any balances as of that end of that 5-year period. And so those are the two primary reports. But again, the district's request is really that you are just imposing the fee on their behalf. It is the intention of the district to do all of these reporting requirements and everything else. It's just you're sort of the pass-through, imposing it with your authority on their behalf. Now, from a legal perspective, it is sort of a city fee, and so that's where some of these reports actually will be going before you for final approval. But again, all of the work behind the scenes, the preparation would be done by the district.
Well, you made yourself clear.
Thank you. There's some other key elements. So with this type of a fee program, or with any other similar type of a funding mechanism, it's because of the nature of inflation, it's important to adjust this particular fee program for inflation as well. And so because again, as I'd indicated, the fee by its nature is intended to recover some type of cost. And there's some tangible cost. Well, we know just by the nature of inflation, that's going to increase slightly. And so we would recommend, and the district board has, in that resolution, has requested that you consider including in its adoption approval of tying it to a particular construction cost index. And I think in the Nexus study, we reference one specifically that's commonly used for Northern California similar fee programs. The other thing that I would suggest to you is that it would be advisable, and in the district board, we actually had this conversation with the chief and the staff and the district board, about this particular annual inflationary adjustment. And the board, after I gave them a couple, the two options, they recommended, and requesting that the council consider an automatic inflationary adjustment. And so the way that would work is with the approval of the fee program, you would tie it to this construction net cost index, and it would automatically adjust based upon that index without having to do all the noticing and the public hearings and all the other procedural process that you're going to be going through if you so desire with this particular fee program. So it does minimize some of a lot of administrative burden on the city and the district if it can become automatic. Now, what that means is you're not giving up any authority as a council or the district board. So at any time, the council or the district board could request that let's not go forward with an inflationary adjustment this year. Or you have the full authority to say, let's not go forward with it at all. Or let's lower it by 25%. I mean, you have that full authority. But this way, it would happen automatically without any action by the district board requesting some type of a change or the council. And again, I probably failed to mention this in my earlier remarks, and I probably should. We're here before you tonight because the district serves, of course, the city, the incorporated areas of their district. And so you have a land use authority over that area. But we are also in conversations and have scheduled for this to go before the County Board of Supervisors later here in September to do the same thing. So the fee program was prepared on a district-wide, system-wide basis. So it's one uniform fee across their boundaries. And so I think we hope that the city council and the county board would adopt both the same fee uniformly for the district.
Brilliantly said, by the way.
Thank you. The other another element that you probably found in that resolution from the district board to your council was that they intend on indemnifying the city. And this is very common for development impact fee programs that are being brought forward by a special district to a city or a county. And so that language is in there as well. Another element is that by law, the fee program must be updated every 8 years. That's a recent change over the last couple of years. So this fee program should have, as long as it's adjusted for inflation, it should have sustainability for at least 8 years. Now, there could be circumstances that could be evaluated that you might want to update the fee earlier, and so that's certainly permissible. But after 8 years, you do need to update the fee program.
I certainly don't want to burn to death.
So just lastly, so here's the timeline. So this was presented in a similar form before the district board back in March as an information item, and then we came back in April and we took public comment. And they approved, and I use my words carefully, approved the Nexus study and the fee program, and then adopted that resolution requesting that it be brought to you for consideration and hopefully adoption. So we're here tonight. This is just of course, a presentation and an information item. The next step would be. If you desired, would be to bring it back to the council at a later date and a formal public hearing where you would adopt an enabling resolution. It's basically just a relatively short ordinance authorizing these fees, and then an associated resolution that just sets the rates for the upcoming year.
I authorize you.
And and that process takes a little bit of time to put that together, and then there's a 30-day period where you need to make the document available and that notice. But we've detailed all of those requirements in the Nexus study, and we'll certainly work with staff upon your direction to help draft the resolution and the ordinance and the notice of public hearing and make it as seamless as possible for the city staff to bring this forward for adoption. That's sort of my role as the consultant.
You're doing it very well.
Thank you. And then, as I'd mentioned, concurrently, we're also working with the county, and we actually have a date to bring it before the County Board of Supervisors here on September 1st. And then once it's adopted by the city and the county, there is a 60-day period by which those fees can become effective. And so the countdown just sort of starts out. It can't become effective any earlier than 60 days. And that might vary depending upon when it's scheduled before the city. So that concludes my presentation and overview, but I'm happy to drill down on any aspects of the process or the fee program itself.
I think we do have questions. We're going to take a really short break, and we'll be right back with questions. Thank you.
Beautiful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. I mean, so clear.
Okay, welcome back. All right, so I know there's some questions from council members, so I think go ahead, Council Member Stillman.
I wanted to ask you about the automatic increase are you using the CPI or are you you mentioned something about construction?
Right. That's not necessarily an appropriate index. Usually, the Engineering News Record is a publication that Thank you, Chief. There is the Engineering News Record is a publication that one of the things that they do is they publicize these building and construction cost indices for 20 major regions across the state, across the country, And so that's commonly, these fee programs are always just tied to that particular construction cost index. And there's one for San Francisco and there's one for Los Angeles, and those are generally considered Northern California and Southern California, and those are the two that are usually referenced.
Okay, well, I know that we over the years, we've dealt with the San Francisco telling us how much we're not in the same level of San Francisco, so it's always been higher for various things.
So an alternative to that is that there is the 20 cities, they call it the 20 cities index, which is basically an average of the entire country. And it doesn't adjust quite significantly, but there are alternatives to that. I think the most important part is that it be adjusted for inflation, of course.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I was wondering, when you say mobile homes, does that include manufactured homes?
Yes.
Both of those, okay. And just for our information is that the Arcata school district wanted to do something similar to this, and they postponed it until we start to have some kind of development in Arcata because they're really concerned about the increase in students for the schools and how are they going to have enough buildings to work with that. So I just wanted to bring that up. Well, I think that's my question. So I think that I was just thinking about those two. And I did add it up. If we had a construction project in Arcata with 24 units, they'd be paying about $22,000 in order to accommodate this need. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So what happens if we impose this on Arcata and the county doesn't adopt it as well? So would it just be Arcata paying and not like other places that the fire districts?
In theory, yes, but all indications are that the county actually has already adopted. They have an ordinance enabling these fees already. So that's an expression that the county has already approved these types of fees for fire districts. It's just that this district hasn't brought one forward yet. So their adoption process will be much more streamlined. But yes, it's possible that it wouldn't affect this fee program. It would just be that they just don't collect the fee in those areas, right?
Okay, and so, but it'll be the city collecting the fees,
Right.
right, and the ones that are distributed. So, do we get some kind of like staff time compensation for all of that?
Yes, and that can be worked out as well. The fee program does include a slight portion of it is intended for collection cost and all of the update to the Nexus study and the annual report and all of that work. Traditionally, a portion of the fee would go to the district, portion of the fee would go to the city to recover those types of costs.
All right, thank you so much.
I don't think we haven't got there yet in that level of detail, but I would represent that's common, yes.
So this just goes to the governing bodies. It's not like any of the tax increases that the fire districts had. It doesn't have to go to a proposition or.
That's right. So this is considered a monetary exaction, a condition of approval of the development project. It just happens to be all of the conditions that you place on development projects. This would just be one that would just be adopted citywide, and it would be just another condition. It's just a monetary condition. And there are circumstances where large subdivisions that you enter into a development agreement, sometimes these fees are set aside in lieu of maybe a developer builds or supports building a fire station within the subdivision, and then they don't pay these fees at all, but they actually help in the construction rather than the district constructing it. So there are some ways to but that would just establish the basis of their obligation. But you can always set those aside under a development agreement.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Appreciate it. We look forward to bringing that back before us soon.
Great.
I mean, I want to be fire safe.
Ma'am, I did call a recess to come talk to you kindly about interrupting the meetings, and you cannot. So if I have to, I'll give you one more warning, and then you will be asked to leave. No, I'm not. No, yeah. Well, this is a public meeting, and it's for all members of the public. You are, and you're welcome to be here if you can be quiet.
Vice Mayor Atkins Salazar, if I could just let you know, we really do want everybody here. We want the participation, but it's disrupting for the crowd, and so we'll issue warnings. But if you can't, if you
I'll leave, you know, but you're disgusting. No, you don't want to hear it from me. You want to hear yourselves. And you get paid to hear
so
yourselves.
we will.
No, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'll catch the next one. No.
Okay, should we?
But what I was going to say is.
This
I live in
isn't the-
Grove, and it's a disgusting place. I have to call the cops every night.
So I'm gonna give you like another minute to leave.
No.
Okay. Please.
You don't have any rules over me.
Well, we do.
No, you don't.
Thank you.
You think you do?
Yes.
In fact, I'm sure you don't. Oh, don't try to arrest me.
I'm not gonna arrest you. We're just making sure.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. You're a fool.
All right. That takes us to oral and written communications. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. The City Council values your comments. The public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. This early section of public comment is limited to 15 minutes, and speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. If you prefer to have a full 3 minutes of time for your public comment, this item is continued at the end of the meeting under item 12, where speakers are granted 3 minutes. Please know that pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. There will also be a time to provide public comments specific to each item when that item is being reviewed by the council. So if you are here in public and would like to speak, please line up behind the podium. If you are online, please raise your electronic hand.
There was number 1 here. I just want to make sure. Okay, I'm numbered. All right. Good afternoon, City Council members, City Manager. We came here today to present the Sanctuary Day and the great opportunity that the team of Los Vegas has inherited to Centro del Pueblo with the I-Block Party. Due to the legacy history of this event, then Israel invited us to take on that event and make it our own celebration for our immigrant, for our city, immigrant community. I had some important highlights about the event, but I also want to acknowledge that we are today highly concerned about what is happening in Mendocino. His presence is being confirmed, and activities have been confirmed as well in Ukiah and another nearest town. So in less than 3 hours of distance, we are in that state of urgency. And why it's important to have this announcement today, despite of all the fear that this announcement has on us, is because our lives cannot be interrupted. And our lives with all that is our culture, that all is our knowledge, can be celebrated even in the middle of the crisis. And I have just 30 seconds to request your support, to request the city council members to please do what is in your power to support this event, to help us to make it sustainable, as this is the largest event that we're going to have. We trust your experience and wisdom around perhaps the green waste and other type of policies for having what is a great event happening. And these are my community members that are speaking on behalf too. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon. My name is Candelaria Ramos, and I'm part of Centro del Pueblo. And I'm going to have an event, like Brenda said, in September 7, right, Brenda? And then the idea is to hopefully get some, money to support our community. Organize the groups to take to San Francisco for Mexican consul to get matriculas, passports, and other, Mexican papers. And then I think it's very important to bring this community together and support each other. And so that's the reason why I'm in here. So hopefully you guys help us to make this event good and safe. I'm in charge to cook this time, so I go organize the people who can cook, different kind of, Mexican typical food, like a birria. I don't know, maybe you guys don't know what is birria. It's like a beef and spices, like a stew, and carnitas, tacos, tamales. I mean, all that kind of, Mexican food. And again, so hopefully you guys support us to make very nice and safe this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Corral Rocha, and I'm a staff member with Centro del Pueblo, and I'm also an emeritus faculty at Cal Poly Humboldt, and a proud Humboldt County resident for many, many years. But because I am a teacher, I'm gonna do a pop quiz, right? So, hold on. Here. So who knows the name of the woman who was killed by ICE in Minneapolis early in January? Nicole Renee Good. Yes. All right. A couple of weeks after that, a man was shot in the same city by ICE. Who remembers his name? Alex Purdy. 2 men were killed by ICE last week. Who knows their names? So see, we have an opportunity here in Arcata to actually put action to our sentiment. The whole nation, indeed the world, were outraged when Purdy was killed and when Miss Good was killed. But ICE kills at least 5 people every year, Latinos, immigrants, poor people, brown people. Where's the outrage? So I'm not suggesting that we get angry and we go and do things. I suggest the opposite. I suggest we create a community event in the legacy of the I-Block Party supporting MUAPA, Nicaragua. But we don't have to send the funds all the way to Nicaragua because we have people here that need it. We have people here that need understanding of the issues. How did we get to this point? We have been fed misinformation about who immigrants are and the risk we allegedly pose to the country. And we know that's a myth. But how do we get over that myth if we cannot celebrate together?
That's your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm nervous. Bear with me, please.
It's
But
okay.
my name is Andres Escarino. I currently work here in Arcata as well, but for Chase Inc. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that company. But this job has helped me out in so many ways, and I'm also part of Centro del Pueblo too. There's a lot of kids out there with no families, trust me, and I've seen this with my own eyes too, and it's heartbreaking where kids don't have family members. They can't even see them because they're stuck in Mexico and stuff. That's why the reason why we're trying to toss this main event is to make it big. That way families can come together and, enjoy themselves, have fun, make food, make new friends, make new family members. We're all related in some way, but just people don't see that. No matter what race we are, no matter whether we're black, no matter whether we're Mexican, no matter whether we're white, we're all related in some way. And if y'all can just take that in for a moment, that would be appreciated. And we really would love you guys to come to our special event on September 7th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Council. Thank you for being here. I'm Stephanie Harden. Some of you know me. I wrote something I wanted to share. I'm Stevie. I'm 51 and I live in my car. Again, it's chronic. No help ever keeps me help. I'm not alone. Countless others are worse off than I am in this proud community. What exactly are you proud of? How you have people who consistently have been eating from your bins to survive. How your businesses can't have unbothered customers. Are you proud of a police force that writes tickets for fines to the most vulnerable in your community? Or maybe you're proud that your kids get to find syringes in the park. Could you be proud that a legacy of houselessness, addiction, alcoholism, and hopelessness is what many of them will find at the end of their rainbow? There are solutions to be had, and by restoring agency to individuals, you return them to service and community. No one is designed to go through life alone. Each one of you needs others in order to thrive. I have worked tirelessly to be safe, seen, transparent, and accountable. I have suffered the way you think a woman would suffer when she's no walls to keep men from touching her. It's exhausting just finding the will to live, much less staying sober. 14 years without a drink and still can't keep up. Think about that with your next drink, please. And feel free to hit me up with what you think. We are not in the same boat, but we are in this together, and we can fix each other if we use our hearts. Now I would like to read a message from someone who's been trying to help me, but I think I'll have to wait until I have more time. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for 2 more speakers if there's anyone online.
There are no hands raised online.
Okay. And thank you for everyone who spoke today, and especially those of you who shared very vulnerable things with us. We know it takes a lot to do that, so thank you. Okay, that takes us to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the City Council and are enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of any of these items. If discussion is required, that item is removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. At the end of the reading of the consent calendar, council members can request that an item be removed for separate discussion. Members of the public may comment on any items remaining on the consent calendar in the comment period before the vote. So we have A, to approve the approval to waive reading of the text and consent to read by title only for any ordinance on this agenda. B, approve the minutes of the City Council special meeting study session of June 8th, 2026. C, approve the minutes of the City Council special meeting study session of June 15th, 2026. D, approve the minutes of the City Council special meeting of June 17th, 2026. E, approve the minutes of the City Council meeting of June 17th, 2026. F, bi-weekly report on disbursements. G, make a continued finding that emergency procurement to repair failed culverts at 4700 West End Road is necessary and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. H, adopt resolution number 267-04, approving the fiscal year 2026-27 annual report on stormwater drainage maintenance fee for all non-tax exempt parcels and directing that said fee be collected through the property tax rolls for fiscal year 2026-27. I, adopt resolution number 267-01, approving the fiscal year 2026-27 annual report on Measure A, special tax for all non-tax exempt parcels, and directing that said fee be collected through the property tax rolls for fiscal year 2026-27. J, award a contract to Ford Logging Incorporated, doing business as Pacific Earthscapes, for an anticipated amount not to exceed $290,000 for the 2026 timber harvest, and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. K, award 2026 timber sales contracts to KP Custom Milled Redwood for redwood logs greater than or equal to 10 inches, and CW Wood Products for redwood logs less than 16 inches, and authorize the city manager to execute applicable documents. L, adopt ordinance number 1587, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata amending Title II of the Arcata Municipal Code regarding design approval authority for public improvement projects. M, adopt ordinance number 1588, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata amending Chapter 2 Sewers and Chapter 3 Water of Title 7 Public Works of the Arcata Municipal Code to align collection enforcement for solid waste, wastewater, and wastewater services. N, adopt resolution number 267-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata approving the City of Arcata's administrative policy regarding usage of artificial intelligence, and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. O, adopt resolution number 267-02, authorizing submission of a local authority recommendation form requesting that Census Tract 06023001001 be considered by the state of California for Opportunity Zone designation. And P, award an agreement with North Point Consulting Group Incorporated for construction management services for the First Street Lift Station improvement projects for $159,843.10, and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. That is quite the list. Do we have any council members that would like to remove an item?
Yeah, I'd like to pull N and O, please.
N also? Okay, and then a question to our clerk. For public comment, do we do public comment on everything? I was unclear when I was reading the verbiage, or are we doing two separate opportunities?
So now would be the opportunity to make public comment on any items not pulled
Okay.
from the consent calendar. And then later, when the items are being considered, you can call public comment for those two items separately.
Perfect. So for items A through P, with the exception of N and O, which you will have a chance to comment on separately, do we have public comment for the items not being pulled?
Good evening, council, staff, folks here in the audience and elsewhere watching. My name's Joanne McGarry, and I continue to need to speak about items, especially with large amounts of money that are on the consent calendar, and I'm hoping that we can figure out a way that these items could be dealt with quickly and efficiently, but not just blanketly consent. And I also just want to call out items J and K about our community forest harvesting plan and making contracts with people to harvest and other people to mill the woods. And I totally understand that this is one of the income generators for the city, and it's done in as ecologically sound manner as possible. However, I do want to share that I do know there are some people concerned about the transport from the forest to the mill. So I just want to say that we need to explain what we do, why we do it, when we do it, and things like that, in addition to signing contracts with the companies to harvest and mill the trees in our community forest.
Thank you. Believe it or not, we are being blinded by the sunshine. We're not complaining, but we are closing. Well, we're going to try to close some very antique blinds. Is there anyone online for this?
There's no one online for this.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
I would move to adopt the consent calendar minus N and O.
I will second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. So we'll now take item N.
I just have a language problem. And so I'm looking under I and J. And it says, I says that all text-based content created using AI without modifications must be properly labeled. But then J says a general disclaimer may also be used, which may also be used doesn't really sound very definitive to me. And so, I mean, is that trying to say that if staff has reviewed it and staff has, you know, kind of worked on it themselves, that it doesn't need to be labeled as being used? So that I kind of have a problem with the word may, I guess. And if that's the read of the clerk and of the city manager, I would maybe like to change it to a general disclaimer shall be used or will be used.
So I think we can bring it back. I think there may be some other comments that might cause us to bring this back. So I'll just right now take that under consideration that that'll be a shall. We'll see if we move it forward tonight or continue it to the next meeting. But noted, you know, I think that changing that to shall, if it's been unmodified, I think is a reasonable change instead of may.
And then I also wanted to ask, I mean, does the city use officially any AI tool? Because like I know other, like the JPA I'm on, like they use Copilot. You know, I know other folks that work for like state agencies, they have Copilot kind of embedded into their system. I know we use Outlook and stuff. So like, is that something that we pay for already, or I'm just curious?
So right now, the city's use, again, one of the impetuses for us bringing this policy forward is we wanted to get a handle on that use. And one of the provisions in the policy, if you read it, it says that all the licenses will be approved by the city manager. What's been happening is we're behind on this. And so we wanted to start, and this will be our baseline. We expect that this will be a changing policy. Some of those tools that come in, like on the Microsoft suite, we pay for the Microsoft suite, but I don't think there's an add-on for the Copilot and other things that come with it. A lot of browsers now are using those AI tools on Apple and others. So I don't have a specific answer, but my sense is that we don't pay additionally, but that's part of the Microsoft package, which we do pay a licensing fee for.
Yeah, and I would just be then, interested in seeing how we could, and I guess that falls under that, like you have to approve it, that, you know, we try to use one, right? And that we're not feeding all of these different large language learning models with our information. And that if we are going to use it, we're using one. We've decided the one we're using, and that's it. So.
Right. And a lot of the protections that are in this, there's a provision for the use of the AI tools in incognito mode, and then also prohibitions on uploading personal or confidential information in them. So this is a first cut. I expect that we'll probably modify this policy on a somewhat regular basis. So, but this is a starting point because we wanted to get something done relatively quickly to at least have a baseline and protections in place for the use of AI. Because what we've been seeing is individual employees are buying subscriptions. They're not all on the same page. And so with the adoption of this policy, that'll be our starting point.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to pull this just because it's a real important conversation to have as AI becomes more prevalent in the things we do. And there's been a lot of conversations like through the chamber about, you know, AI artwork. And I want to make sure that, you know, we've had a couple presentations lately that have had AI generated images and whatnot. And I just want to make sure that what we're putting out in like our public facing things are not AI generated, and just to be really clear, you know, where we fall on that. So, I mean, I appreciate Sarah's comments and I agree with them. And if we need to bring it back, and I understand that as technology is changing and as the world is changing, we'll be updating this, but those are like things that I think we need to make really sure of.
Yeah, you know, and I've heard those concerns, and that's one of the things I think we might want to consider moving forward. I'd be curious if the council does have specific feedback. But when an AI tool is used to generate graphics or images, it has the potential to take artwork that's been done by somebody else. And I know, and also then you're taking work away from artists as well. And so I know that, at a staff level, we share those concerns. And I think those are some of the concerns of the council. And right now, this policy as it is, it talks about text content that was created with AI must be properly labeled, or all audio and visual media created using AI must be labeled, but it doesn't really speak to the use of artwork in city documents or publications. And so if the council has input on that, that's something we've been talking about at a staff level. We could certainly add something if that's something the council desired, but right now there's not a specific provision there prohibiting that artwork in city publications or presentations. And I will say, in certain instances, it has been helpful. I know one of the presentations that our city engineer did, that he developed some graphics and modified them, but to explain the water cycle and other things. So sometimes those can be really handy, but I think when it comes to artwork, I think a lot of people are sensitive that it's grabbing from, the body of art that's out there, and there could be artists that aren't being compensated or their work being recognized.
Yeah, and I'm less concerned with like things that are internal, that are presentations, but external, what's being shared with the public, being not AI generated images.
So final documents, website content,
Social
things
media
like
content,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
And I would agree that I think that's important, because I didn't even, kind of read that this way. I guess as a policy, I think internally and how we're using it for, internal presentation materials, things like that. I know folks use it for like slideshow presentations and things like that, right? That we see at meetings and whatnot. But yeah, I would strongly agree that, for brochures, presentation materials that are going out to the public, social media posts, all that kind of stuff, maps that we use, everything that we, kind of put out there, we try to keep that in-house or use. Yeah.
Just a question for
Get it.
council, as far as this policy, is it the sense that you'd like to move forward with this and then have us bring it back with some additional suggestions for those artwork protections? Or, I don't think we can put together the wording for something like that today, but
I mean, would it be a huge holdup if we brought it back at the next council meeting with a little bit stronger language? I'd prefer to do that if that's okay with.
Yeah, I would agree. I support that. And I would like to, see some of those textual changes just to tighten the language up.
But I do appreciate the fact that there is an AI policy and that we're.
yeah, I will say that. I mean, it's so fast and so convenient, and then it's hard sometimes to remember that, you could be grabbing art from somebody else who produced it, and some of our staff are very cognizant and are very on top of that. And so, I think there are a number of folks who are very focused on let's try to not take advantage of others' artwork.
Thank you so much.
All right. And also recognizing that it's a lot of this is really nuanced. And so it is, something that we'll have to keep coming back to because everything's changing quickly. But I appreciate that we're starting somewhere. So let's go ahead and take public comment on this.
Hi, my name is Eddie Hurston. I have not been to a town meeting before, but I wanted to talk on the AI use. We do like a land acknowledgement at the beginning, and AI, obviously there's stealing. I'm an artist, steals from anything I upload online, which I kind of just don't anymore. But it's really damaging to land. The average AI search, not even considering like the generative images, takes about a bottle of water per search. And you get billions of searches every day. It takes up a lot of water, and the people and the towns in those surrounding areas, their water is becoming toxic. It's coming out of the pipes brown, and you really can't be drinking it. I don't know, I guess accepting it within our community in terms of using it, sorry, I'm really nervous. When you're using it as your job, it kind of sets the precedent that this is something that is socially acceptable to everyone. And there's already too many people using it. I think that it would be good to, I don't know, not set that precedent. A lot of people use it, and people have become really reliant on it. I don't know, in the past, people used clip art for presentations, or you find just images off of Google, which is also just now AI search. I guess that my point is that it's not really limited to Humboldt County. Also, when I was looking at the ordinance, it says in today's workplace, employees are often asked to complete more work with fewer resources and still provide the same outcomes and services, which further motivates employees to use tools to assist them. But the thing is I've seen a theme within of what everybody's talked about today is like we have growing population, the city's growing, and all of these industries are growing, but we don't have, the money isn't being allocated towards that actual growth. And I just think like if it's too much work for individuals, because you have an amount of individuals doing work for what should be tons more people should be hired. Obviously, I don't know all about the inner workings of the finances here, but as a business or a government or just a population grows, like people need to keep up with it. And I don't think that cutting corners and using AI instead of just, I don't know, hiring more people or paying them better is the right solution. Yeah, that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person? All right, how about anyone online?
There's no one online.
Okay, so we have agreed to table this and bring it back to the next meeting. So, yeah, so we'll go on to item O.
Yeah, so, I was at the Eureka City Council meeting last week, and they actually had this same thing. It was under new business, and it was a really interesting presentation on what an opportunity zone is. So I was just hoping that we could get like a quick presentation. Thank you. I'm sorry. It was just really interesting to me.
All right. So we threw this together today, so apologies ahead of time. I'm going to go through just a little bit of background, talk a little bit about the application and what this might mean for our census tract that I am requesting that you designate. So opportunity zones are a federal economic development tool. It's designed to encourage private investment in low-income communities by offering capital gains tax incentives. Investments are long-term, so they're made over a 10-year period, and they encourage some of that more long-term development, which sometimes our projects here locally do take many, many years, and this would build some capacity for that investment. The 2.0, so this is the new round. It's better for rural communities. There's a competitive selection process, more focus on operating businesses as opposed to just new development. So there are some changes that I think would be more advantageous for rural communities. They did realize in the last cycle that rural communities really were being left out of this program. So they did make some changes to make it more advantageous for rural communities. There's a wide range of projects and benefits. Anything could really be benefit from this type of thing. So housing, mixed use, healthcare services, these are just a few of the types of developments that could potentially benefit from these opportunity zones. One of the things that I wanted to stress with this is that the census tracts, the 4 census tracts that we'll talk about here in a minute in Arcata are all eligible baseline, but there's some really key differences in those census tracts, and these are the recommendations that we need to really nail down in our application in order to be competitive. So looking at advancing California jobs first, attracting private investment, public investment in those areas, and then also so these are the 4 tracks that are eligible. This is kind of a messy slide. I apologize, I didn't have a lot of time to put it together, but I'll show you here with my cursor. This area here is the downtown tract that I'm recommending, that staff's recommending. The area here is one of the ones that we would not recommend. Really, it's Cal Poly, Humboldt, and then a lot of unusable, agricultural land down here. This area here is in and out of the city, so it's outside of the city boundaries. Again, it has a lot of agricultural land. This area, which includes Valley West and Alder Grove, is one that we considered, We looked at some of the metrics for scoring, and we felt like it might be okay, but it wasn't as competitive as the downtown area. And it also just, you know, this doesn't go, you can't see it on the screen. It goes all the way out to the Trinity border. That's how far out this census tract is. It's a crazy census tract, which a lot of it is very forested. Dinsmore is in there. Maple Creek is in there. That's all included in this census tract. So it's kind of an odd one, and which is unfortunate. It would be more helpful, I think, if it was within our boundaries. But looking at kind of the categories, what would be, you know, what would be eligible and then what would be competitive, we really did feel like the downtown, which encompasses a portion of the gateway, would be the most competitive. So I should have moved on to this slide. So this particular census tract, as you know, we've done a lot of work on it. So it does encompass a portion of the gateway area. It's not the entire gateway area. It's really L and K, like that area there, but it is a portion of it, which is great. We can point to that as public investment. We can really look at a lot of different sectors. The chamber's offices in this area, SBDC's innovation zone is in this area. The Cal Poly Health Lab that they're working on across the street from the high school is in this area, and it encompasses most of our downtown. So here's some pictures that our staff took today to kind of give you an idea of some of the sites that we would be listing in there. The fire impacted sites, I'm sorry I missed that, but the fire impacted sites are also part of that, which is another huge benefit. The governor will be looking at these, and I believe there was an emergency declaration. So I think that that will be a helpful piece to have in our application as well. So we've included that in the draft that we've got ready to go. They did move the application process up, so it's now due on Monday. So if you would like to include another census tract, please let me know ASAP. We're happy to do it, but there is some work to put into it. Each census tract has to have its own application and its own letters of recommendation, which I've received letters of recommendation for quite a few folks for the downtown business. So SBDC has sent one, the Chamber has sent one, Playhouse Arts has sent one, and North Edge right now, and we're working with Cal Poly to get one, and with REDEC and a couple other folks to get recommendation letters. We have through the period of August to get those recommendation letters. So if you do move this forward tonight and you have suggestions for recommendation letters or can reach out to folks to get us recommendation letters, we have that full period, comment period, which is why they moved this up to the 20th to allow for more comment from the public. And that's pretty much all I have. Any questions?
No, thank you, and I really appreciate putting that together. Because we only have one track, like as compared to Eureka that's sending in 4, do we have a better chance, do you think, of?
I don't know that it's a better chance. I think that we're focusing on the track that's the most competitive and trying to really identify that. I think they're kind of maybe throwing everything, I don't want to say that, but throwing everything out there a little more than we decided to do. I didn't learn about these until kind of last minute. So I think if I'd had a little bit more time to put together an application, I might have considered something else. But I really, again, just looking at the criteria, don't feel like it would make the most sense from
No, I
that
think it's
perspective.
a
So
great,
just being concise.
it's a great opportunity as an opportunity zone. No, thank you so much. I just was excited about that. I think it's a great opportunity. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and make an motion then to approve item adopt resolution number 267-02, authorizing submission of a local authority recommendation form requesting that census tract 06023001-001 be considered by the state of California for opportunity zone designation.
Second.
Okay, is there anyone in person that would like to make public comment on this item? Okay, seeing no one, do we have anyone online?
There is nobody online.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. That takes us into old business. So item A is to approve an amendment to the contract with Smith Group Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $225,000 for professional services for planning, community outreach, and preliminary concept design for the Reconnect Arcata project. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members, member of the public, and staff. We have been talking about this project for a while, but before I start, I just want to ensure that you know I have Laura Kaldachek, who's the lead for the Reconnect Arcata project, so she will be co-presenting with me what we are presenting today. So, thank you. We have been talking about Reconnect Arcata project for a while, so we will not go in detail what that is, what that means. What I want to start with is how we as a city see as a Reconnect Arcata project. This is nothing new that we have started. Definitely 3 years ago, we got exciting news that state is going to fund the project and we'll be getting $75 million and have a great project and we'll do great. So definitely that was thing that maybe started a spark and we got very excited. But to us, it's not new. City has been divided by highway from 1960s, 70s, 255, 101, railroad corridors have been dividing communities for a long time. But city has done some work. For example, Gintoli overpass. There was no overpass long time ago, but it was added. Similarly, Foster Avenue project. That is, in my mind, it's a Reconnect Arcata project, but because it connects communities and it relieves some stress from other streets. So that was a very good Reconnect Arcata project in some ways. Annie and Mary Trail project. That's the current one, but before that, there was a Rail Speed Trail project. That is also community Reconnect Arcata project that connects east, west, south, and north of Arcata. Then we did Humboldt Bay Trail project that connects our trail to Eureka, so that is also Reconnect. Then after that, we started working on Sunset Avenue Improvement Project. That is also part of Reconnect Arcata project that we started 10 years ago, and we started with planning, design. Currently, we're in design, and we have funding for construction for next year, which we received through federal for $14 million. Similarly, a few years ago, we started a project on the south side for Reconnect. It's called SAMSIP, South Arcata Multimodal Safety Improvement Project. So that is also in motion. So we've been doing Reconnect Arcata for a long time, but this is our opportunity to combine all those and see, again, how better we can reconnect Arcata for better future of Arcata. For if we want to have an economic development, we have to have a connectivity for bike, ped, trail. We want to be a trail city. How do we do that without having a reconnecting or connecting in some ways? We want to have an economic development. I think just Jen mentioned about opportunity zone. How do we connect opportunity zones? We need to have some projects in place already ready so that when there's a funding opportunity, we tell them, hey, these are the projects we want to do. Please give us money, and we get the money. So with that, I'll go to next. I just gave you a few background information. I'm going to have Laura walk you over what we have been doing in last a year or so, and then we will emphasize on why the project is needed and how to fund it, and then if needed, we'll give more examples on the past projects, how we've been successful in getting funding, and we can still keep on doing it.
Great. Okay, thanks, Nitra. I'm going to go to the next slide. Good evening, everyone. So since the council approved the contract in December of last year, we've been working about 7 months on the project. And this is, these accomplishments noted here are just to date. So to date, we've spent about half of the funding that was originally approved. And I just wanted to go through these. Thank you, Nitra, for he's passing out some handouts that's going to, that I'll talk about as the last item on this list. But just to summarize, back in December, after staff prepared an RFP and engaged the Smith Group, we have met 17 times with the project team to collect city GIS database and local planning information into a digital whiteboard that all the parties that we've been working with over the past 6 months have had access to and can have interactive comments on. So digital whiteboard is a pretty cool thing. It's basically like a whiteboard in the cloud. And so consultants and staff are able to contribute to that. And we're going to see clips of it. The result of a large digital collaboration is just what was passed out. And we're going to go over those. So we created this whiteboard that we worked with. We collaborated with the city's 2 other active consultants, which is Civic Well, which has been conducting the economic master planning, and Lisa Weiss Consulting, preparing general plan updates to the form-based code. And this was really synergistic, it created a lot of synergy with each respective project, and it was a unique opportunity for public engagement and critical to the success of each of the consultants' work. In particular, it helped our project team see the transportation connectivity from a socioeconomic lens. And when you see some of the input on the draft deliverables, you'll see how we worked that in. We also created stakeholder list and a Reconnect webpage. We convened a group of 8 members of the public on a community partnership group. We met twice with the group to collect input, perspectives, and priority areas. That was meeting number 1. And then the second meeting, we planned public engagement activities, which led to the city hosting 2 walking tours with the community partnership group members and the public, a public open house, several listening sessions, a tabling session at the Arcata Farmers Market, and a flash vote, all to collect public comment on improvements to our transportation corridor. These public engagement activities were core to the first step of the project goals, answering what is it that we need, what does the public think that we need. Then we started to prepare the draft deliverables that consolidate the public input and present a series of clear options to a set on a set of regional maps that have enlargements of areas of special interest and opportunity, and that's based on the public input. And these are extremely useful for our next stages of the project, including future fundraising. And so the next couple slides, we're going to go through these. So the handouts that you received show a enlarged area of what's shown on the right here. This is providing us with a menu of connections to cross the US 101 and State Routes 299 and 255 corridors. And this is not written on your handout, but if you look at that in detail later, you'll notice that the purple improvements are basically the bike improvements, the brown bubbles are the trail improvements, the orange bullets or bubbles pertain to intersection improvements, and the yellow and the white are pedestrian improvements. A lot of really good ideas there that we don't have time to go into in detail tonight, but these were all things that we heard through the public engagement process and through our community partnership group. Right? And the second regional map that we have created is basically identifying 6 priority areas that could use improvement. And in the background here, we have that visual collection of our local city GIS data and all of our general plan and land use code there. So just the background alone, with the scope going from Valley West to 255 is really helpful for the engineering department and for everyone working on transportation improvements to use. So there are 6 priority areas. A was in the was Valley West, crossing 101. B is off the map here. It's just a little bit higher. It's near Carson Park. Area C was the area. Let me get my mouse working here. Whoops. Yeah, crossing 299. Can you go back? 299 here. Areas D and F are more in central Arcata, with area D kind of by 17th Street where the pedestrian bridge is, and some short-term improvements here. And then the long term is considered in area E, and F is the southern portion. Okay, so in the packet here they've provided, these are some studies of each area. So I don't, obviously this is an enlargement of Valley West crossing 101. And the team has looked at various economic and social improvements that could be incorporated into some of these areas. This is the drainage swale that the city has a right of way for and or an easement from. I'm sorry. And so one idea was to be able to connect through here, come across to Wiat Way and down Ribeiro as a way to connect that side of Valley West. Next slide, please. The consultant team provided some sketches or renderings that I just wanted to share as a little bit of visual interest. So this was for Area A that we just saw. Next slide. Area B was studied, and this is the valley, what I call Valley East, and access to Carlson Park, and even across the river. They had some ideas there, as well as locating some other community and economic opportunities there. Next slide. And this is a visual that they created as to kind of represent what that might look like. Next slide. Area C is looking at the Valley West across 299. So the city does have an easement, or there is an easement across here to this point, and people are crossing here quite regularly, and that's considered an issue. Certainly trying to get folks from these neighborhoods, to the Annie and Mary Trail connection was considered a priority by a lot of folks that we spoke with. Next slide. This is looking at short-term solutions from 17th Street to 14th Street. I'm sorry, it's labeled wrong. From 11th Street to 7th Street here. So a lot of the input we received here was along 7th Street and bike improvements to connect to Sunnybrae and the sports complex and community center, as well as moving across here onto 5th Street. And in the next draft, what we hope to accomplish, along with a number of other changes, is to be able to include the Samset area in this rendering. Next slide. This is a rendering from 17th Street to 14th Street near the pedestrian bridge. This was really seen as a big hazard for a lot of folks. We've got a lot of comment about how it's so steep coming in here. And so we're looking at ways at trying to improve that intersection for bikers and pedestrians. Next slide. And then this is some more longer term solutions from 17th Street to 14th. And you may recognize this as the formerly known CAP project, but it's really looking at ways that we can connect the east and the west side of our town, while also providing housing is shown here on the top, these little images. And then transit center is conceived to be down here, and some retail and community center type accommodations there as a concept. Next slide. Okay, this is the last area that was studied, or it's being studied, from 11th to 7th Street. And yeah, this is the one that's mislabeled. So we have a couple flips. I'm so sorry. So this is our short-term solution to address the downtown. So you can see the 17th Street Bridge improvements that we saw a rendering for, and then the 14th Street item elements here. There has been some discussion also about connecting 16th Street to Harp Street in order to accommodate the Cal Poly facilities plan. So next slide, please. So that's where we are so far. We basically have draft clips off of a digital whiteboard. And so our original approval and contract for the Reconnect Arcata was for preliminary planning, and we had conceived that to be about $300,000. But we acknowledged that there was a budget shortfall, and the council reduced the budget to $150,000. So at this time, we're basically asking requesting to use 75,000 more dollars than the reduced budget of 150 for a total of 225 in order to finish these documents and have a set of deliverables. And before I go into what those deliverables will be, the next slide is for Netra to explain how we're going to. Okay, sorry. Actually, never mind that. Just moving on to what the additional $75,000 would be used to to complete the tasks that are already in progress and to capitalize on the effort to date. So basically, we would like to be able to complete the final drafts of the maps. We would like to be able to convene the CPT stakeholders and also the local transportation agencies in a joint meeting at the end of the month in order to share the findings and the mapped priority opportunities. I think it's important that we do that because we really have invested in the public engagement process and would like to be able to go back to the public and say, this is what we heard, this is what we're coming back with. But and then that will allow us to finalize the maps to be able to use for the next stage because we'll have some conceptual drawings for where we want to go and also a menu of opportunities that we can choose from.
Yeah, with that, I don't think we have need to add more to it. So we just want to maybe hear if you have any questions, and we are here to answer your questions.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the clarification on reconnecting Arcata because we have been working on connections, and I think since we started talking about the cap, whenever it comes up, I think that's the first thought for a lot of us and people in the community is the cap. And although that is one long-term idea on here, that's not what the primary focus. And I do, we know that our community does support trails and connectivity. So I think it was really important for you guys to clarify that so we could all really be on the same page. So thank you. Questions, comments?
No, and I appreciate the conversation that we had yesterday. I struggled because, there was 300,000 and then at the budget, it was cut down to 150. And I feel like that conversation was just such a short time ago that I wish that we could have had this conversation then. So we could have kind of maybe built it into the budget more instead of like now after we pass the budget, have this. However, during our conversation, you did kind of explain to me where your ideas for some of the funding would come from, leftover money from please remind me, I'm sorry.
I did mention the project, but I don't want to go specific details on
We
the
don't have
project.
to be
Yes,
specific,
sure.
but there's other
Yes,
places that the funding could come from.
Exactly.
And, and I think that, yeah, it's really important knowing, especially all these jurisdictions are having such like financial troubles and everybody's like really worried about our budgets. And I was really proud of us for having such a tight budget. And so like even an extra $75,000, I think it gives me pause. However, when we're, I was sitting in those economic planning meetings when we're talking about what we want an economic development plan to look like, and just hearing how trails and connectivity kept rating so high, and it really does make this an attractive destination for people to come. And this, I mean, this is beautiful things. This is what people want to see. This is how, and it hits like our climate goals, it hits transportation goals, it hits economic development goals, it hits tourism. So, while I'm not super thrilled that we're changing a budget that we just so recently passed, I really can't think of a better thing to spend that money on. So I'll just leave it at that right now.
It's nice to start seeing some of these ideas come on paper. So this is a good thing to bring to this meeting because it makes me want to see that next phase. And I'm, excited to continue supporting this project. So thank you, Netra. Thank you, Laura, for all your hard work on it.
Well, I wanted to say, I also like the idea of the menu for the future. And we've done so many things with because I remember in the 1972, when they were talking about connecting Arcata from Sunset over to Foster, the Foster connection, and how long that took. It took years and years for it to finally happen. So coming up with a menu and thinking about it in the future, that's just going to give you what to do for the next 20 years. And I think that's really a valuable tool for us to have. And I really support that concept of having the menu, and which we've had for many years with things we needed to do, and we've been doing them along as the funding has come. And you've been really good at finding money. So thank you very much for doing that to get your vision to come to a total thing one day. So thank you, both of you. I appreciate it, and I definitely support the project.
Great, thank you. I just want to maybe add one thing to this is definitely project will be hopefully will be moving forward. I think the main question is where the money is going to come from. I know we had the conversation, but I think we are at the end of the year. For the fiscal year 25-26, we believe there will be some savings, and as usual, when we close the year 26-27, there could be potentially some savings. So we are hoping maybe we can gather that together and be able to fund this portion of the project. Definitely we'll be internally working with the team, a city team, and try to figure out how best we can do that. So I think that's the goal to move forward. I think the good news is that for the next phase or next step of the project, we are already funded, and by the end of this year or next year, the grant money will be coming and we'll be continuing this project. So it's not that it'll be sitting in the shelf. We will have a product in next 2 to 3 months, and then from there, we'll go to the next step, whatever that is, and then we will keep on working on those things. So, and for that, we have $700,000 to move forward for next 2 years to spend money on. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment on this? We'll go with our in-person first.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry, and I had the opportunity to participate in the walk around up in Valley West area, and I actually know the consultants who had worked previously for the university, and so it was, a very enlightening and revealing walk through neighborhoods that I don't walk through normally up in Valley West, and I understand money is tight, and I also understand things cost a lot of money, and consultants are not cheap. I hope they're not using AI in this presentation. And actually, seriously, that might be something we need to consider when we hire consultants. But Netra is really good at finding money. So hopefully, or getting money. So hopefully this is all going to be smooth sailing, more or less. And it's an important future thinking approach. I totally understand and remember when 300,000 first vote of this council that was not unanimous, 300,000 went down to 150, and now you're asking for 75,000 more. It's a money game, but I think this is a good thing. Connecting is really a great philosophy. And so I have belief in this man here, Netra, and hopefully I'll be alive to see some of it.
Thank you, Joanne. Is there anyone online?
There is nobody online.
Okay, so we can either have more comments, questions, or a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the amendment to the contract with Smith Group Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $225,000 for professional services for planning, community outreach, and preliminary concept design for the Reconnect Arcata project.
Second.
Oh, may I interrupt? I just see a line there to authorize the city manager to execute.
It's because I'm only looking at the agenda, and to authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents.
I will still second it.
Great, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So moving into new business, this item is to introduce ordinance number 1592, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata, amending Chapter 5, the Residential Rental Inspection Program, of Title 8 building regulations for the Arcata Municipal Code. And we have Joe Bishop here for our presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate being here and appreciate the experience or the opportunity to express our progress on making some changes and present our new ordinance. And hopefully I can answer any questions you have. So I'll just go through this real quick. Recap, recommended changes, next steps, and questions. So on May 20th, the building division presented to City Council a 3-year update of the program. And based on that presentation, council directed staff to draft an ordinance update and propose a fee adjustment. Today, we are presenting an updated ordinance to improve the program. If approved, we will follow up with a resolution to amend the 26-27 master fee schedule. The recommended changes that we incorporated in the draft ordinance that you have was to increase fees. Current fees do not cover, and it's not self-funded, which was a goal of the program. And changing it to per unit instead of per parcel, and requiring self-certifiers to upload the checklists every year, and edit the refusal to entry language just to clean it up. And we had legal help on that. And to update the self-certification audit language to make that a little bit cleaner, and to clean up the late fee. Specifically, I think probably the one that's not actually in this ordinance, but I wanted to make sure the council had the opportunity to see before I work with Tabitha and present the actual changes. So currently the top half there is what our current master fee schedule looks like. And the bottom half there is what I'm proposing. I know that's a little bit small, so if anybody wants me to read any specific items, but basically we went from 5 fees down to 3 fees. The new fees, the top one there is $100 per unit for the standard registration fee. That $100 a year fee will include the inspection fee. So we're trying to kind of simplify it. So it's just saying it's $100 a year. And we wanted to make sure that the language specifies that it includes up to 2 inspections in that 3-year period. The self-certification program for those that are eligible, that fee is cut in half. So $50 per unit instead of $100. The last item there is an inspection fee. That's for re-inspections or additional inspections beyond those 2 per year that are provided as part of that program, or if any for any other reason we need to do inspections. So next step, like I said, we will, if you direct us to, we will draft a resolution to amend the fee schedule, and our ongoing process after that will be working with finance to consolidate the registration fee and the business license fee so that the public only has to go to one place and deal with paying the fees at one time instead of 2 separate processes. We still have the goal to create the layers on the GIS to allow the public to view the status of rentals. We still need to manually identify and register properties that are not previously included. We still want to partner with Cal Poly and register eligible properties into the self-certification program. We're really excited about that. There's going to be a lot of properties that are eligible for this, and I think that's, we're right there. I'm really excited for that. So I will look forward to a next 1-year update and tell you how successful that was. So Q&A.
All right, thank you. I mean, I know we did in May really get into the details of this and talk about it, and so that was a good conversation. Any questions, comments for Joe?
Thank you, Joe. It looks great. I'm excited about all the changes. I just wanted to mention one thing because we talked about it before, and just to continue to put it on your radar, and especially with the fire department being here today and the fact that a multi-billion-dollar investment firm just bought an apartment complex in Arcata. We need to figure out a way to get those apartment complexes into our inspection program and work with the fire department to have meaningful inspections of those units, not just checking smoke detectors, but looking at everything and, really finding ways. We can't prevent who buys properties, but we can, have a say in how they manage them and how they're maintained and, how our citizens that are living in there, get dealt with. So I think that's important. Just wanted to bring it up again because we're talking about it. So thank you.
Did you want to respond to that?
I would love to. And in response to that, first I'll just say that I do support the development fee for the fire department, and that's something that they very much want. And I also support your goals of including the multifamily inspections into this project, which is something the city council very much wants. And I love it when there's an opportunity for both sides to get something that they want. So I support that wholeheartedly. Thank you.
But when I talked to you about that before, it was if maybe things have changed, but that you could pay two fees. You could pay for the rental inspection program, and then you would also get to pay for the fire department coming in and inspecting. And is there any way that that doesn't have to happen?
The current laws, the way things are written and the way the authority that the fire department has, they would have to voluntarily choose to allow us to do that in as opposed to. So the option for a property to choose one or the other is fully in the fire department's authority. So that's why I'm saying if they really want this development fee and you all really want this multifamily inspection, that might be a good consideration to help encourage that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I would appreciate that because I would be paying double fees, and that's what we talked about. And I think there's maybe a possibility to negotiate that. And I do know how the fire department inspects, and I know how the city inspects, so they're quite different.
Yeah, as somebody that's lived in multifamily units inspected by the fire department, they have never been inside my unit when I lived in one. So that's the truth. And I'm sure it happens in tons of other units too. And so it's just a fact that it's not getting inspected.
The other thing is you have a notification where you're supposed to notify your tenants that you're going to have somebody coming onto the property, and the fire department just goes, for my tenants, they just show up, they go in. I've asked my tenants, they don't know they're coming, they just get a knock on the door and there's the fire department. Well, in their case, they're ringing the bell and they answer it, and then the fire department shows up, comes upstairs, and that really bothers me that there is no and I complain about that every year to the fire department, that I don't have an opportunity to let my tenants know there's someone coming, which is part of the law.
But then if you're not home, it doesn't get inspected, right? Because if you aren't able to let your tenants know that they're coming, then you might not be there when they come, and then you don't let them in, and then they put the door hanger, and then they don't come back for another year. So.
But they charge you.
And they still charge you, exactly. And you're not even getting the inspection that you paid for.
The only one thing I would like to add, I think this is definitely good support from the council to add apartments is great, and we can definitely work on that. As you remember, when we brought the initial program 4 years ago, apartments were included, and then we had to go back and create a working group. And working through the working group, I think one of the recommendations was to eliminate the apartments from that. I think that was a very big pushback. So we're not saying we cannot do it. Definitely we can do it, and we can work towards it. But just want to be mindful about that. There was a big pushback, but since then maybe things have evolved and changed. And in last rental inspection program, we have lots of people complaining about the program and not wanting it. But today there's everybody wants to maybe support, and nobody's here. So I think it's a good thing. It's the basic thing is life and safety, and we are doing that. So and that's the reason. We got an email that we don't need the program because there's no life and safety issues. The reason there's no life and safety issues because we have a program in place and people are aware of it, and so they are keeping their apartments and rental unit in good shape. So I think we are doing our job, I would say. So thank you.
And I'm still your squeaky wheel 4 years later. So it's we made compromises, but the opinion's still there.
Well, and I think part of the pushback was because it would be this double charge, double inspection. And so we're still looking for a path forward so that we don't have that. Obviously, we're not going to go that route because it didn't work the first time. So we're looking for another way so that it makes sense for everyone.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that my goal would be to keep the two programs, keep this program just what it is, and find a way to work with fire department to provide the owners and operators the option. Some operators may prefer just to keep with the fire department, and that's fine. So I think when we do bring another ordinance, what I would like to make sure that's clear is I want to keep them as separate. I don't want to try to add more to this ordinance. We have a successful program. I'd like to keep it successful and not have it associated with whatever multifamily program we do as well.
Between the May meeting and now, has there been any community engagement or any feedback from the public about this?
Thank you. We did do a public presentation at the D Street Neighborhood Center. Unfortunately, I was not aware that there was also a public meeting for the wind farm that happened to be at the same time at the other community center. So we did try though. We did public notice. We did what we could to try to do a public meeting, and some people did show up, and we were able to engage. And we have had some phone calls and emails and private conversations. And generally, I think that the people that I would have thought would have had the biggest concerns have not been knocking on my door. I think generally, we had by direction a clear intent to focus on life safety and to not make these intensive investigations and long, complicated process. And I think that has proven to be successful. And I think that ultimately the ones that have had corrections are mostly small things like smoke alarms or GFCI outlets, or address numbers, or an earthquake strap on the water heater. So very easy things to fix. And ultimately, I think the program has been successful. And I have not had the amount of negative feedback that I would have expected for this.
All right, thank you so much.
Well, I think the other thing that is the whatever you get for gas, a lot of people don't have those in the units. Carbon monoxide.
Yes, carbon monoxide.
And I think that is something that is important, but that's something the fire department doesn't look at.
That is correct.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's go ahead and go to public comment on this. So for those wanting to comment in person, now would be the time. And if you're online, go ahead and raise your hand so we know you're there.
Hi, I'm sorry to always be racing up here on each issue, but my name's Joanne McGarry, and I'm a grateful beneficiary of the tenant-based rental assistance program, of which Isaac West, who's in charge of that program, comes to my apartment and inspects things. And I just don't want my landlord necessarily to have to go through a second inspection, nor do I necessarily want that to happen. So I'm just kind of wondering how that might work. This is all good stuff, for all of us in the community. Things cost money, but hopefully we're doing it in a way that doesn't cost too much money for people so that my rent doesn't get raised.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online?
There's nobody online.
Okay, so before we go for entertaining a motion, is there something in place, Joe, for like the example that Joanne pointed out about units that are already being inspected by the city?
I am not sure how the fire department ordinance is written, and when we cross that bridge, that's certainly something I made a note. We'll certainly make sure that we address that. I can speak to our current rental inspection program. If the unit is already inspected by another governmental agency, such as the program that Isaac West runs or the fire department runs, they're not required to also be a part of our program. That was definitely a working group feedback clause that we got in there, so that, yeah, if you've already got somebody coming and checking your unit, I agree, you shouldn't have to be subject to having another one.
Okay, thank you.
But if you have more than 2 units, that's when the fire department inspects. 2 units or less, that's when the city inspects.
Correct, per building, and that's a distinction there. The state or the building code definition and the fire code definition of multifamily is 3 units or more. So our current rental inspection program is for 1 and 2 family dwellings, and that's per building, not per parcel. So you could have a parcel, and I believe you might have one where there's, or maybe there are properties here in Arcata that have one building that's a multifamily and another building that's part of our program, and that is
That's right.
That is an option.
I do have that situation.
Yeah.
I have a building with 2 units, I have a building with 3 units.
Yep. And
Fire
we
department
inspect
is over
one and the
here,
fire inspecting does
and
the
you're
other.
over here.
Yeah.
I understand that. Okay.
Well, I will make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1592, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata, amending Chapter 5 Residential Rental Inspection Program of Title 8 Building Regulations of the Arcata Municipal Code, and waive the reading of the text and consent to read by title only.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we've been here for almost 2 hours, so we're going to take a little 5-minute break, and we will come back. Thank you. Welcome back. So our last item of new business is to approve plans and award a contract in the amount of $139,370 for the Redwood Park Improvements Phase 2 basketball court project to Hooven and Company Incorporated, and to adopt a CEQA, which is a categorical exemption, and approve necessary and associated related actions. And we have Director Sinkhorn to present this. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, Council. Excited to talk about this project. Renovating the basketball court at Redwood Park has been a community priority for a number of years. It is on our capital improvement program. We had a very successful Redwood Park Improvement Project Phase 1 back in 2024, and the focus was renovating the playground, making a Redwood Castle themed playground that now summer camps and kids from throughout the region are really enjoying. And that also made that park universally accessible. So that was a key component. And the Phase 1 project also included the new pump track up above the playground. So that work was funded with a combination of general fund dollars, open space parks, trails, special tax fund, as well as a grant from state parks. In working on the design for that project, we needed to right size that to the funding that we had. So we knew that there were some other projects and priorities that came out of some previous master planning for Redwood Park, and the playground, the basketball court really shown as the next highlighted component. And so the current basketball court is well used, but it is has been impacted by the beautiful redwood surroundings. And so there is opportunities for drainage improvements. And also there's a lot of redwood roots that have gotten up into the court and do not make a smooth playing surface. So this project proposes to really focus on some of the key redwood root areas and rehab those. As well as improve drainage, but then make the court accessible. So add a ADA accessible parking stall and entrance to the court. And to do that, the project does involve the removal of several immature redwood stems on the kind of west side of the court where the ADA accessible area will be. Our engineering department completed the designs, and then we put the project out for construction bid. Bids came back July 2nd. We received four bids. Hooven is the lowest responsive bidder. So we're looking forward to moving forward with council's direction. Our engineering department put together the bid with the base bid being renovation of the court, but with focusing more on the key areas where the redwood roots are coming up. We had an additional alternative to the bid that bidders could propose that would do much more of a full resurfacing of the court with paving fabric and asphalt before we then put the top layer that really makes the top layer of the court. That was an additional item because we didn't know how bids would come in. Fortunately, with the lowest bid, we feel like we can complete that, and that will make the court much longer lasting to have without roots and to have without cracks occurring in the top surface. To do that, though, we have about $150,000. We have $150,000 allocated for this project in general fund dollars. The combination of the potential awarded contract with the added alternative, plus contingency, plus the cost to remove those 5 immature redwood stems, we are short about $10,000. And so our staff's suggestion, and look forward to hearing council's thoughts, is to appropriate $10,000 from reserves of the Open Space Parks Trails Special Tax Fund. And again, that was passed in November 2020 to support stewardship of parks, acquisition of future public lands, and support of trails. The council has, adopted projects or in the budget with those funds, even with projects currently in this fiscal year. The Open Space Special Tax Fund has about over 200,000 of reserves, and so our suggestion would be that this would be a great project to be able to further spend that that very relevant fund reserves on, to make sure the basketball court has a more longevity, in the long run. So the items before you are to approve the plans, award a contract. A key item though is the approving pulling 10,000 of reserves does need a super majority, so that would be of all of you tonight. So just to keep that in mind when we make the motion. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
No, I just think we've been excited about this for a really long time, so I was thrilled to see it on the agenda. Thank you.
I'm so excited about it, and I know a lot of people in our community are. And just to remind folks why this is such a special basketball court too, because it's the only full court in Arcata, which is something that people request and want to use, and it's hard to play a real game when you only got half a court. So I'm excited. I can't wait for this improvement. And I remember when I was a little kid when the basketball court was first done, probably about 30 years ago, I would say. So it's exciting to see it get updated and improved and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe 20 years ago, I don't know.
I think we should have
25, 30.
a council versus staff 5-on-5
Yeah.
inaugural. You're tall.
Yes, Councilmember Stillman.
I think adding the additional material is a very good thing to do for longevity. And, we used to play basketball with a university in the 70s. Council and staff used to play on a court up at the university. But I won't be joining you if you all decide to do that against staff here or whomever. But nevertheless, I could be a cheerleader.
All right. So this recommended motion has 5 parts to it. So whomever wants to make this, let's go ahead and do public comment. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry. I no longer play basketball, but I was pretty good at it in high school. And I didn't realize it's the only full court in Arcata. And I pass by it on the rare occasions that I do go to Redwood Park these days, because I no longer have a car. And I just want to mention that as accessibility issue, because I also think, in addition to all these improvements on the playground, on the basketball court, on the bike or pump track or whatever, where's the bathrooms, where's the hand washing? It's great you're going to have ADA parking, but I just kind of want to say out loud, the accessibility for people who don't have a car and want to play basketball on a full court, and they maybe live in Valley West or somewhere else where the bus doesn't take you straight there, is always something to be considered. And now the CEQA exemption, categorized exemption, I used to be a park ranger in Muir Woods, and they developed a trail system in that woods that has over 3 million people visiting a year, that is raised specifically to save the root system of the redwood trees. Now, we're a community park, and I don't know how a basketball court could be raised or whatever, but I do really think that the trees need to be considered. And if there's a root issue that's ongoing right now, what is the mitigation to, stop that, but also not harm the trees? And so, maybe I'm over exaggerating my concern, but I'm all in favor of this, especially since it's the only full court. But there's some limitations about its location and its design, and so I just wanted to say those things.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online?
There's nobody online.
And just the restrooms did come up in that comment, and we do have both regular restrooms have been open for quite some time. So even though the porta potty is still there, the regular restrooms are open. So yeah, yes, during the day. All right, who would like to make this motion? Want to do it? I'll give it to Alex. It's all over there.
Okay, well, I can, all right, so it is approve the project plans and award a construction contract for the Redwood Park Improvement Phase 2 basketball court project to Hooven and Company, Inc. in the amount of $139,370,000. Anyway, authorize the city engineer to increase the contract amount up to 5%, $6,968.50 for a total amount not to exceed $140,338.50 to allow for any unforeseen contingencies and additional work as necessary. Approve an additional budget appropriation fiscal year 2026-2027 of $10,000 from the Open Space Parks and Trails Special Tax Fund Service reserves, and adopt a California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, category exemption for the project pursuant to CEQA guidelines section number 15301, and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents.
May the city clerk ask a clarifying question of Councilmember Stillman? I just want to make sure I heard the dollar amounts correctly.
The first one was $139,370 and no cents.
Great. And then the total amount not to exceed, I have $146,338.50. Okay, great. Thank you.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's exciting. My youngest son will be quite thrilled. That takes us to our second portion of oral and written communications. The city council values your comments. This public comment period allows people to address the council on matters that were not on the agenda. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Please know that pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. So if you spoke in the first early oral communication period for 2 minutes, you are not eligible for this one. So for those who haven't and would like to, come on up.
Hi, I wait for the 3 minutes. My name's Joanne McGarry. So I sent you all an email and one of you responded, so I appreciate that. And things I mentioned in that email were 3 things that I like to talk about. And one of them was the establishing of a Peace and Justice Committee. Berkeley has one, and I'm sure there's other places. I haven't researched it enough. But I think with a lot of things that have been talked about earlier tonight, homelessness, sanctuary and ICE, and I'm continuing to be concerned about, war and its effects on our community. I think a Peace and Justice Committee can really benefit. We can really benefit by establishing one. And maybe that in lieu of an Equity Arcata program, which is currently, unstaffed and maybe a costly thing that we could substitute that for a Peace and Justice Committee for the time being. That would include equity issues. So I just really hope that you'll really kind of consider that. I've been alarmed by all the news flashing on my news feed about climate change and the fires in Ontario, Canada, the heat dome in Europe, the drought in the Southwest, and we have a regional climate action plan that is still trying to get its feet on the ground, I guess. And I only share this because it's beautiful art by a local artist who responded to Greta Thunberg's request for a poster regarding climate change and the action that the world is not taking on it. And she gave a speech one time and just went blah, blah, blah. Now, I know we're doing some things here locally, so it's not an accusation that we're not doing anything. but we need to move quicker, better, and more comprehensively on climate action. And I really, really honestly believe that it could be a real selling point in a tourist way, and also just in a community way for all of us to feel really good about what we are contributing to climate action. That could extend beyond here from the redwood forest to everywhere else. And so I hope you'll consider things I said in the email, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. And I appreciate your letting me be at the public podium, and I hope more people will get in my way so that they'll speak before I do, or I won't have to speak. But I appreciate having this here, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Do we have any hands raised online?
No, we do not.
Okay. City manager's report. Merritt, do you have anything for us?
Just a few items to update you on. One of them, our community development director, David Loya, announced his retirement. So we'll be thinking about how we fill his shoes in that position. David's done an incredible job and a lot of heavy lifting for the city, and that will not be an easy position to fill. But so I just, in advance of any council recognition, want to thank him for what he's done, and it'll be a real challenge to replace him. I will say that we had a very productive meeting with Centro del Pueblo, and they did let us know about the I-Block party change as one of their benefits, and I think they will be seeking council support for that for the I-Block party, and we did have some latitude. So we'll, if it's not clear in the budget, then we'll be bringing that back to council to make sure that we have the opportunity to support the I-Block party, especially as Centro del Pueblo's bringing that on. And they also gave an update on how it was going at the community farm, some of the challenges, some of the things that are working well. But so it was good to get an update, and we'll be continued to stay in touch with them on how things are going over there. And then today we had the homeless services working group and meeting, and we talked about some of the local issues and some of the different funding sources that we can put to work to provide additional services for the unhoused community. And then I also want to just thank Supervisor Wilson. One of the things that came up in the county's budget adoption process was the use of Measure Z funds, and he encouraged the city to put in for something that he could advocate for the city. And so we thought the juvenile diversion counselor would be a great position to try to fund. So the board, after a lot of debate, I think over an hour, included the city's juvenile diversion counselor in that funding for the next 3 years. It's not including this current fiscal year, but the 3 years following. So we'll have some choices to make, but we'd like to proceed with that hiring so the council will see something back in the near future. And we're working out some of the details with the county on that, the acceptance of that right now. So that's all I have to report.
Do you have a fire
and then
update?
a fire update. There's been some coverage in the press about the fire cleanup and the contractor that was hired by the private property owners. We're hoping to start July 6th. I think the Los Coast Outpost article, and I think perhaps Mad River Union covered it well, and they were held up on the last reporting number, the waste generation number, and so they have all their permits in place. And the current thinking now is that I think they're under promising, but they said before the end of July they would start, and so that's coming up real quick. So I don't want to be over ambitious about their start date, but sometime within the next couple weeks is realistically when we'll see people arrive. And some of the things that people have asked about, they addressed in their media questions they answered, which is, applying a mist to keep dust down, and they'll have a lot of protective measures to make sure that any of the hazardous materials in that those buildings don't spread to the surrounding areas.
Thank you. Our next item is council reports. All reports shall be specifically limited to items related to city business and shall not request or lead to action by the council at this meeting. And Councilmember Stillman, would you like to lead us off?
We have a lot going on right now as far as construction. Just between the steel water pipes in the downtown, they've moved into the downtown right now, and also PG&E, their site is now putting new fencing around, so you have the water pipes over here and the fencing, and they're all jockeying around. Plus, you just think about the gas station over here, and they're getting down to the tanks and removing the tanks, and You know, I think about the water meters being replaced and how they're reading differently than the old ones, how city staff has been checking on water meters that don't read very well. I mean, that happened up at the Phillips House. I was up there at the Phillips House Museum when they came by to check the water meter. We don't have anyone living there, so we don't have anyone showering. We don't, so I went in and turned the water on so they could see it functions, but we're really a low user. And so I thought that was great that they're checking all the low users and trying to figure out what's going on with the water meters. Because I think about the fact that how many times over the years we've had to raise the water rates. If we only had meters that were reading correctly, we probably wouldn't have to be doing this all the time. And so I'm hoping that that maybe we'll be funded through the Community Development Block Grant to be able to replace other meters, plus the 400 we're replacing right now. And we have construction going on downtown. They're painting a building, and next to it, they're all under heaven. They're enlarging it, so there's a lot on that side of the plaza on the south side. I went to the movie that was produced about the Crabs game, and the first night that they showed it, it was totally sold out. I went on Sunday at 11 o'clock, and if you have a chance to see it, I would suggest you do, because it's very educational. And the person that put it together shows up for every movie and says, I hope you all enjoy it. And then he stands there after the movie to talk to people, and he lives in Sacramento. And so he's very enthused about it. So that's what I see going on.
Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer?
Okay. It's been a while since we've been in here. So just a couple things, but we had back at the end of June an Equity Arcata advisory committee kind of like extra long meeting planning retreat. And it was really great because that committee kind of is starting to feel a little bit more full. We have kind of new folks joining us. The principal of Six Rivers Charter School, kind of representing the Nohum School District, has been a great addition, and some folks from CR. So it's been really nice to kind of have more of a full room and full table with that. And, we just kind of went over and talked a lot about ongoing initiatives and how they're connecting campus and community, and just kind of just centering all the things that Equity Arcata is doing and how it's going back to that mission and that work. But something that is going on that you can add to your calendar, this Saturday, July 18th at 6 p.m., Equity Arcata is hosting an open house down at the Annex, which is right across from the Transit Center where their office is. And so they'll kind of start down there. You can just check out the office. They'll have some kind of activities, and I believe Fernando from Cal Poly, who's our Equity Arcata kind of liaison manager, he's going to give us a short presentation, and then they'll have, I think, hot dogs too, and then free tickets to the Crabs game for, I think, at least the first 25 folks or something like that. So we have Crabs tickets available, and so Saturday at 6 p.m. if you want to come out and hang with Equity Arcata, it'll be a good time. And then the one other thing, I went yesterday, I'm the liaison to RCEA's Community Advisory Committee, and again, another one of those meetings that's like, we had 2 new members joining. It felt very full. People are kind of getting back. But something that came up and keeps coming up and has come up during budget season is this issue that I've talked about here a couple times, which is PCIA, which is the Power Charge Indifference Adjustment, which is a charge that PG&E charges CCA customers who have left, PG&E to get their energy procured from different CCAs like our CEA. And the way that California does it is that charge never sunsets. And California is unique in that way. And it really, it's bad. And I have numbers here, but again, in January 2026, that charge alone increased by 232%. And that for the typical RCEA customer, that PCIA charge is actually equal to 51% of your total generation charge on your bill. So, and that just goes back into PG&E's pocket. And so it's something that needs to be dealt with in the legislature, but our Assembly member, Chris Rogers, is working on Assembly Bill 1761, which would be kind of a first step to require additional PCIA transparency data and information about how they're making those determinations of what the charge should be. sorry, this is going to get, yeah, sorry. I'll stop there because I have two requests. And my first request, which would hopefully be the first thing, is that our CEA staff wants to come around and present about that and present about that assembly bill. And so I think it would probably be Beth and then our ledge manager, Faith Carlson, who is so good at explaining these kind of things. It's the only reason, hanging out with her is the only reason I can moderately explain these things. So to have staff come present, and then I don't know if it would be something that would default fall under our legislative platform or if we would need to kind of work together to approve it, but to send a letter of support for that assembly bill as well that Rogers is working on. So, and just to kind of keep our eye on that issue because it's something that really both impacts affordability of, PG&E rates, but also then is kind of shady and puts money back into PG&E's pockets. So I would, like to have us have that presentation. And then, once we know a little bit more, maybe be able to sign on to that letter to support. And I have a draft of the letter as well I can forward to the city manager. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews?
Yeah, I've been busy. I have a list. First of all, I just want to thank everybody in Arcata because driving around this town lately has been quite an adventure. Like every time you turn, the road is closed. So thank you. And just walk. We have a very walkable city, so I've been walking everywhere. So let's start with, we had the Fairy Festival. Thank you, Shoshana. That was amazing. I got to judge the costume contest there, and then Shoshana and I got to throw out the first pitch at the Crabs game. It's our yearly, she's my fairy escort. I also ran the 4th of July 5K with the Six Rivers Running Club, and the Arcata Chamber did an amazing job. Again, with 4th of July on the plaza, I went to the Offshore Wind meeting at the community center. It was really well attended, and it was really great to see all the community's inputs, all the dots of how it's going to affect the community. I am part of the Economic Summit planning meeting that's coming, the Economic Summit that is coming in October. That should be really exciting, and I'm happy to say that it is here in Arcata. We had Access Humboldt board meeting, and the Bolt Day Giving is coming up. To my REDEC meeting where we had a presentation from Humboldt Made. I got to go to the last RCEA meeting, which was their budget meeting, which, it was not a short meeting. And I mean, it's the thing, like, I know that it's really great that we all have such longevity on our JPAs, but I also think that it's really important and really interesting to go see other GPAs. And like, thank goodness that I've worked for RCEA and I have 5 years of institutional knowledge about that, because it is a learning curve, and they're great conversations. It's really interesting stuff. And if you don't have that foundational knowledge of like stuff like Sarah was talking about, it's really easy to get lost, and there's a lot of big changes. So I was really happy to know what was going on. I also got to go to HWMA too and hear about what they're doing. Buy your lettuce at the Arcata Farmers Market. I think that's a very important thing. Let's see. Brenda in Centro del Pueblo, I'm really sorry that we could not respond to your public comment, but I think that we would love to have an agenda item come back about I Street Block Party. And let's see what else.
There's one other thing.
I'm not finished.
Oh, you're not? I was going to.
No, I'm not. There is a chamber mixer at Ridgefield Events on Wednesday the 22nd, and it's alongside with Humboldt Made, so that should be super fun. Also, Arcata Friday Night Markets are starting on August 21st, and the first one is going to be like super huge. It's going to go to 10 o'clock. There's going to be a special visitor. I don't know if I can say. I won't ruin the surprise. And like,
it's already been in the paper.
Oh, El Pulpo is coming. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be awesome. And it's almost Cal Poly Moving Day already. So, fire. I'm done. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No, it was in the paper. That's why you can say it.
Great. So I'll round us out here. I'm going to keep mine. We are. I was walking up in the community park a couple weekends ago and noticed some of the trail stewards were up there with a volunteer work day. And I just wanted to acknowledge and thank everyone in our community that partners with the city to help provide such amazing amenities that we have. We couldn't do it on our own, so it was great to see them out there. Councilmember Stillman and I were at the homeless and housing meeting that that Merritt was talking about earlier. I attended HWMA last week. We're getting ready to do some strategic planning, so that'll be great. And then Councilmember Stillman arranged a meeting for us to sit down with a couple of scientists who were finalists in the Startup Humboldt competition, and they have a really interesting and way of dealing with food waste. And I'm going to be connecting them to Eric, the director of HWMA, just to start conversations, because you never know. And we are looking for a solution other than shipping our waste other places. And who knows, this could develop into that. So I appreciated that invitation. I also was at the Offshore Wind Heavy Lift Marine Terminal project event. I was the greeter at the door, making people stick dots on where they were coming in from. And with that, I do support having an agenda item when it's appropriate for iBlock Party, because I do think this is such a long-standing tradition, and change can be difficult, especially on something that is very long-standing. And although it's a new, it's an exciting way to move forward, I think the public will really want to know how it came to be and what it's going to look like going forward. So I do support that. And then I have, I didn't plan it to coincide with the AI part of our consent calendar, but it's been on my mind for a few meetings, and I decided to bring it up today, in that we do, although we have a data hub, it's not a data center, but it is a hub. And it came into place before any of us were decision making on that. But a lot of communities are putting out ordinances to not allow a data center in their community. Some of the downfalls were mentioned earlier in public comment, and I think I would be interested in having staff explore an ordinance for us to consider to say that to not allow a data center in our small community. And that would also be a wonderful time to talk about the hub, because we've never really talked about it, like what it is and what it isn't. And I think that would be great for the community to learn. I think it would put a lot of people's minds at rest to know the things that it actually isn't. So.
Yeah, and just to add, I mean, the county's kind of taken a little lead
Oh,
on
they are.
that too, and has started, the data center thing. And the whole slate that the county's got going. No ICE detention centers
Detention
either.
centers, yeah.
And no, there was a third one. What's the third thing they're looking at? I don't remember, but they got to look at that one too. But I've spoken about this with the city manager too, and I think that there's a lot of misinformation about what happens in that building there. And like, it doesn't really use any water at all, right? So like, let's get that information out there of at least the things that like we are allowed to report about, like what the usage of that building is, because holy moly, if you want to read some Facebook comments or go onto some Facebook groups about what people think is happening in that building, it is just so beyond what the fact is that it worries me that, that is out there. So yeah, thank you, Stacey. I appreciate that. And I would support both of those items.
Great. And I mean, if it's something that if the county is doing it and it's going to cover the whole county, then we could also still bring those items forward and talk about just a letter of support for whatever those key items are. If it's something we need to tackle on our own, we can do that, but we don't need to duplicate it. But we could still at least have a conversation about all those things, since we do support them, and be a good conversation. Yeah, we do not support them. But we support the county.
Because the center, the project you're talking about on 11th and I think it's M, that is actually a connection from bringing over a line that comes over from, well, one is from Singapore, and that's a Google line. And then what they do is they're connecting that internet east. And that's what they've been doing along 299. They've been digging trenches to move the whole line across. And I think it's a valuable thing. And the other thing is we're one of the centers or the area that we're closest to the Asian countries. And therefore, they've been selecting us to bring in these cables that are going to carry internet. So anyway, that's what's going on there. There's no water. I know people say, oh, there's going to be water. I'm going to hear the fans. I'm going to hear this. I'm going to hear that. And there isn't anything of that nature.
Great. Well, sounds like we're going to open a lot of conversations. It'll be interesting. And I don't see any dates of future meetings besides our regularly scheduled ones, and we don't have closed